A single choice can change everything. And in episode 7 of Dexter Resurrection, that choice comes at a moment when Dexter is forced to confront not just his enemies, but himself. The ending doesn't just give us a twist, it leaves us questioning whether Dexter is still the hunter or if he's finally become the prey. Episode 7 begins by placing Dexter in a fragile position. He has been trying to hold together the fragments of a new life, a life that looks ordinary on the surface but is constantly threatened by the shadows of his past. Throughout the episode, we watch him struggle to balance two sides of himself: the image of the man he wants people to believe he is, and the darker reality of what he has always been. The story picks up immediately after the shocking events of episode 6, where Dexter's carefully built disguise of control began to crack. His relationships are strained, his attempts at fatherhood and at rebuilding trust have been challenged by suspicion, half-truths, and the ever-present risk of discovery. Episode 7 wastes no time reminding us that every move Dexter makes is under scrutiny, and the cost of one mistake could be devastating. One of the most powerful aspects of this episode is how it brings back the old dance of predator and prey. Dexter spends much of the episode observing, analyzing, and waiting for the right moment. The writers craft a familiar rhythm, Dexter following someone, studying their patterns, calculating risk. And as always, this isn't just about survival, it's about control. We see him slip into old habits, almost unconsciously, and the way the camera lingers on his face tells us everything. He feels alive when he is hunting, but at the same time, he knows that every step deeper into this dark pattern pulls him further away from the fragile normal life he's trying to hold on to. Tension builds steadily across the hour. A new antagonist figure comes into play, someone who isn't fooled by Dexter's quiet charm or calculated calm. This figure doesn't just stand as a physical threat, but also as a mirror reflection of the darker truths Dexter tries to bury. Their presence turns the episode into a chess match, one where every move is both a strategy and a confession. We also see cracks appearing in Dexter's emotional armor. His conversations, especially with those closest to him, carry a weight that feels heavier than before. Even simple moments of dialogue are loaded with double meanings. When he promises safety, we can see in his eyes that he doubts his own words. When he insists that things are under control, the camera shows us otherwise, his hands tense, his breath held too long, his eyes darting toward exits. These tiny details remind us that Dexter's biggest enemy may not be the people chasing him, but the growing war inside his own mind. By the middle of the episode, the walls are closing in. Clues left behind in earlier episodes begin to resurface. A small slip up here, a detail overlooked there, and suddenly, people who should not suspect him start to put pieces together. This episode is about pressure, about the way lies pile up. Until they can no longer be contained, every conversation feels like a test, and Dexter is failing in small but noticeable ways. What makes episode 7 different from earlier parts of the series is its pacing. It doesn't rely on sudden bursts of violence or shocking discoveries to keep us hooked. Instead, it builds tension slowly, deliberately, like a storm gathering on the horizon. By the time we reach the final act, we're already holding our breath, waiting for the inevitable collapse, and collapse it does. The final scenes of the episode strip away Dexter's last chance at keeping things quiet. His world, which he has fought so hard to control, begins to unravel in ways that even he cannot fully anticipate. This sets up the explosive ending that leaves us asking not just what Dexter will do next, but whether there is even a path forward that doesn't end in total destruction. The ending of episode 7 is where everything finally explodes. After nearly an hour of building tension, close calls, and quiet whispers of suspicion, the last sequence hits us with the kind of intensity that makes the entire episode unforgettable. It begins in silence. Dexter walks through a dimly lit space, and the sound design does most of the work here. We hear his footsteps, the distant hum of the city outside, and the faint beating of his own heart. This isn't just a scene, it's a countdown. Dexter knows he's being watched. He knows the walls around him are no longer holding. Yet he walks forward anyway, drawn into the confrontation that he has tried all episode to avoid. Asterisk the antagonist, who has been circling him, finally steps into the light. This isn't a random threat. This is someone who has studied Dexter with the same precision that Dexter usually reserves for his prey. They know his weaknesses, his habits, his mistakes. And in that moment, the balance of power shifts. For the first time in a long while, Dexter isn't the one in control of the game. He is the one being cornered. Asterisk the dialogue between them is sharp and layered. Every word has two meanings, one spoken, one implied. The antagonist doesn't directly accuse Dexter of anything, but every sentence feels like a blade pressed against his throat. They bring up past events, inconsistencies, small details that Dexter thought he had buried. Each line pulls another thread from the web of lies Dexter has spun, and we can see his calm mask beginning to crack. Asterisk, what makes the scene so powerful is Dexter's body language. His eyes scan for an exit, his voice lowers to keep steady, but there's a tension in his shoulders that betrays him. For the audience, it's a rare moment of vulnerability. We're used to seeing Dexter as the one in control, the one who calculates every outcome, but here, he's exposed. And exposure is something Dexter has always feared more than death itself. Asterisk, then comes the turning point. A revelation is dropped, something that not only exposes Dexter's secret, but also connects him directly to the events of earlier episodes. It's the kind of reveal that makes the entire season click into place. Suddenly, we understand why this antagonist has been watching him so closely, why they've been a step ahead at every turn. They know more than we thought, and they're not afraid to use that knowledge. Asterisk, the confrontation escalates. Dexter is forced to respond, but not with violence, not yet. Instead, he uses words, trying to manipulate to regain control of the narrative, but the attempt fails. The antagonist calls his bluff, pushing him into a corner that even his sharpest instincts cannot escape. In that moment, we see the cracks widen, and for the first time, the possibility of Dexter's downfall feels real, almost inevitable. Asterisk, the cinematography does the rest of the work. Shadows stretch across the room, framing Dexter in a way that makes him look smaller, almost trapped. The antagonist, by contrast, is lit in a way that makes them appear larger, dominant, unshakable. The roles have reversed completely. Dexter, the hunter, has become the hunted. Asterisk, as the scene reaches its peak, we expect violence. We expect Dexter to lash out, to reclaim his role as predator. But the writers take a different path. Instead of blood, we get silence. The antagonist leaves Dexter with a warning, a final line that is chilling in its simplicity. A reminder that his mask has slipped and that it's only a matter of time before the world sees what he truly is. Asterisk, the final shot lingers on Dexter's face. No words, no explanation, just his expression. And that expression says everything. It's not the look of a man who is planning his next move with confidence. It's the look of a man who realizes, maybe for the first time, that his carefully constructed life is collapsing faster than he can rebuild it. The camera holds, the music swells, and then cut to black. Asterisk, that's how episode 7 ends. Not with an explosion of violence, but with a psychological dagger. It's the kind of ending that stays with you long after the credits roll, because it doesn't just close the episode, it redefines everything we thought we knew about the season so far. Asterisk, the ending of episode 7 isn't just about plot. It's about what the moment represents in Dexter's long and complicated journey. To really understand the weight of that final scene, we need to look beneath the surface to the themes and symbols that give this story its power. Asterisk, at its core, episode 7 is about exposure. From the very beginning of the series, Dexter's greatest fear has never been death, but discovery. He has lived his entire life behind a mask, pretending to be normal, pretending to be good, pretending to be just another man trying to survive. In the world, the ending of episode 7 rips away a piece of that mask. The antagonist's words, the way they corner him, the way the camera traps him in shadow, it's all about the stripping away of safety. For once, Dexter is not the one observing. He is the one being observed. Symbolically, this is a reversal of the entire series' foundation. The hunter becomes the hunted. Asterisk, another theme that rises in this ending is duality. Dexter has always been a man split in two, the careful father partner and neighbor on one side, and the cold, calculating predator on the other. What the final moments of episode 7 show us is that this balance is collapsing. The antagonist represents more than just a threat. They are the embodiment of truth, the living reminder that Dexter cannot exist in two worlds forever. Every word spoken in that scene is a test of which identity Dexter will choose to protect. His silence at the end, his haunted expression, suggests that he may be losing control of both. Asterisk. There's also the recurring symbol of darkness and light. Throughout the episode, shadows dominate the framing of Dexter's scenes. He is often shown in dimly lit spaces, with half of his face consumed by shadow. This is a deliberate choice, symbolizing the duality of his identity, but also his inability to fully escape the darkness that defines him. The antagonist, in contrast, is often framed in harsher, brighter light, not as a symbol of morality, but as exposure. Light here doesn't mean good, it means truth. It's the illumination that Dexter has always avoided, because light reveals, and what it reveals is monstrous. The ending flips this dynamic entirely, forcing Dexter into the light, while the antagonist thrives in control of the shadows. Asterisk, the psychological tension of the ending also ties into the theme of control versus chaos. Dexter has lived his life believing he can control everything, his urges, his kills, his relationships, even the perception others have of him. But episode 7 shatters this illusion. The antagonist proves that chaos has been creeping in quietly, all along, and now it's stronger than Dexter's control. This idea is symbolized in the pacing of the scene itself. The calm, calculated dialogue suddenly gives way to moments of silence and stillness, as though the very structure of Dexter's life is breaking apart. It's a reminder that no matter how precise he is, chaos will always find a way through the cracks. Asterisk, we can't ignore the symbolic weight of Dexter's expression in the final shot. For years, his face has been unreadable. He has been able to look at death, at lies, at betrayal, without revealing what he truly feels. But here, the mask slips. His eyes widen, his jaw tenses, his breathing shifts. That expression isn't just fear, it's recognition. Recognition that he has finally met someone who sees him, who understands the darkness he hides. It's almost like a mirror, reflecting back the truth he has long denied. In that way, the ending becomes more than a confrontation. It becomes a revelation. Asterisk, another symbolic thread worth noting is isolation. Dexter has always operated in secret, but at the cost of being emotionally isolated from the people around him. Episode 7 doubles down on this. Even though others are close to him, physically present in his life, he is utterly alone in that final moment. The antagonist's words isolate him further, cutting him off from the illusion that he can blend in, that he can belong. The empty silence at the end of the episode isn't just about suspense, it's about loneliness. Dexter stands there, completely alone, stripped of connection, stripped of comfort. And this loneliness is as much of a punishment as the threat of being caught. Asterisk, finally, episode 7's ending speaks to the larger theme of inevitability. Dexter has spent years running from his past, creating no identities, burying the evidence, silencing those who know too much. But no matter how far he runs, the truth always finds him. This ending is a symbolic reminder that the past isn't something you can escape. It waits, it lingers, and eventually, it returns to claim what was. never resolved. The antagonist represents that inevitability of force that Dexter cannot manipulate or silence, because they don't just want to expose him, they want him to face himself. So when the credits roll, we're left not just with a cliffhanger, but with a question. Is this the moment Dexter finally confronts the truth of who he is? Or is it just another mask he will learn to wear? That's the power of this symbolism here. It doesn't give us answers. It gives us reflection. The ending of episode 7 isn't just about shock value, it's carefully constructed groundwork for what comes next. Every word, every pause, every subtle shift in Dexter's expression is a signal pointing us toward episode 8. And when we break it down, we can see that the writers are setting the stage for a finale that promises both tragedy and revelation. The first piece of foreshadowing lies in the warning left by the antagonist. Their words aren't just a threat, they're a promise. A promise that Dexter's world is about to collapse. In the history of this series, when someone corners Dexter, they usually end up silenced. But here, the antagonist survives the scene, walking away with knowledge and confidence. That survival is the key. It tells us that the next episode won't be about Dexter hunting someone down in his usual way, it will be about Dexter reacting, desperate and reckless, as the walls close in. This shift in the hunter-prey dynamic is a clear sign that episode 8 will push Dexter into unfamiliar territory, weakness. We also need to look at Dexter's silence in the final moments. For a character who has always relied on control of his words, of his tone, of his mask, silence is not natural. It's a break in his pattern. That silence foreshadows to possibilities. Either Dexter is beginning to lose the ability to control himself, or he is calculating something larger, something more dangerous. Episode 8 will likely reveal which side of Dexter wins, the desperate man cornered by exposure, or the predator planning one last brutal move. Another layer of foreshadowing comes through the visuals. In the final shot, Dexter is framed in half-light, his face split between shadow and brightness. This isn't just good cinematography, it's a hint at the choices ahead. The light suggests exposure, the shadow suggests secrecy. Episode 8 will force Dexter to choose. Will he step into the light, facing the truth and perhaps even redemption? Or will he sink deeper into shadow, destroying anyone who threatens his mask? That visual cue is the writers telling us that episode 8 will be about decision choices that cannot be undone. We also have to talk about the unraveling of Dexter's relationships. Episode 7 gave us tiny glimpses of suspicion, cracks in the trust he has tried to build. His partner, his friends, even those who don't yet know his secret are beginning to sense that something isn't right. These subtle suspicions are seeds planted for episode 8. If the antagonist presses forward with what they know, Dexter's personal life may implode at the same time his secret life collapses. That double collapse, professional and personal, is classic Dexter storytelling, and episode 8 is poised to deliver it in full force. There's also an important element of parallels to past seasons. The way episode 7 ends feels like a callback to the most dangerous moments of Dexter's past, when his lies began to crack and the people around him started to see the truth. By echoing those earlier beats, the writers are reminding us that Dexter's cycle is repeating, and cycles in drama always break in one of two ways: destruction or transformation. The foreshadowing suggests that episode 8 could either destroy Dexter completely or force him into the one thing he has always avoided. Change. Another major piece of setup is in the antagonist's role. They aren't just another threat to eliminate. They are a symbol of exposure, the embodiment of everything Dexter fears. By allowing them to walk away alive at the end of episode 7, the show signals that episode 8 will revolve around their power. They hold the keys to Dexter's downfall, and their actions will decide whether Dexter's secret is revealed to the world. This makes episode 8 not just about Dexter's choices, but about a larger collision of forces: Dexter versus truth itself. The tone of the ending also points to a shift in pacing for episode 8. Episode 7 was about slow build, steady tension, psychological games. But the silence of the last shot feels like the calm before a storm. It foreshadows a finale that will likely be faster, more explosive, and less forgiving. The writers have stretched the suspense as far as it can go. Episode 8 will cut the rope. Asterisk finally. The ending of Episode 7 plants the seed of inevitability. For years, Dexter has avoided consequences. Every time the truth has threatened to catch up to him, he has found a way to twist the story, silence the danger, and step back into his mask. But the way Episode 7 closes with silence, exposure, and vulnerability suggests that this time may be different. The inevitability of his downfall is heavier than ever, and Episode 8 is being set up as the moment when that inevitability finally arrives. Asterisk. So when we look back at Episode 7, we can see that its ending isn't just a cliffhanger. It's a roadmap. A roadmap pointing straight to Episode 8, where Dexter must face the consequences he has dodged for years. Whether that means death, capture, or some unexpected transformation, the stage is set. The foreshadowing leaves no doubt the end is near, and there's no escape left for Dexter. Asterisk.